It's time for another episode of Left Hand Poetry. I'm your host and poet, Rob Murray. This week's poem comes from my book Regret and Opportunity, and this is one of the rare poems of mine that was actually inspired from a dream I had. Normally I don't remember my dreams, occasionally I do, and boy when I do, they make for some good poems. This week's poem is called Crossing the Aisle. Crossing the aisle. I dreamt Obama was a crossdresser. He came out at the State of the Union, walking down the aisle like the rise of Ziggy Stardust. Frugally, he wore a navy blue dress, a dress Michelle was photographed in a year before. The dress was accented with a red scarf and a tasteful string of pearls. The networks all hurried to bring in their fashion reporters to comment on his makeup as he made his way past Congress to the strains of Hail to the Chief. The required American flag pin, post 9/11 political uniform, was itself represented as a jeweled brooch pinned over his heart. He was graceful in the low heels, showing practice. His wig was tasteful, making him appear years younger. They say Joan Rivers could be heard howling from beyond the grave, and the servers at BuzzFeed nearly melted down. Twitter was undecided on the matter of his eyebrows, leaving the question of whether or not they were on fleek as a conundrum for historians to wrestle with. By the time he was to the Supremes, the networks had bumped the political pundits for the fashion police. And as he deftly mounted the rostrum, they argued over the message of wearing something from his wife's closet, and whether the fabric of the scarf was in this season. They too squinted to identify the designer of his American flag pin. Obama stood before Congress, the cabinet, the Supreme Court, his family, and all of the American people, and looked more confident and relaxed than he had since 2008. My fellow Americans, he intoned from the pulpit of the United States as he took the mic in hand, the State of the Union is fierce. Again, that was Crossing the Aisle from my book Regret and Opportunity. You can find Regret and Opportunity and my other volumes of poetry by visiting my website, robertcmurray.com, and scrolling down a bit past the content about my science fiction novel, about which I haven't really spoken much here on the podcast, trying to keep it focused on poetry for the moment and for the foreseeable future. I want to leave you with a final thought that Black Lives Matter, and also, given some events that I saw online earlier this week, Trans Lives Matter. Make sure to check out the donation links in my feed as always, and until next time, this has been Left Hand Poetry.